Hi and welcome to Children of the New Earth. I'm your host, Jennifer Partridge. We're down here at the Birth 2012 Vision Stage, and we are really here to discuss the vision of the new youth in the moment now and how we're going to really embody what this consciousness is of the Birth 2012 through the children, through the youth, and through this age. We have some amazing, amazing people on set with us today. We've got Reverend Leon Campbell, we've got Reverend Arlene Hilton Campbell, and we've also got Miss Wendy Silvers. Now, these guys are all connected into the Agape movement, and both of you are married, and you're also part of the youth and children's ministry. You've been involved for quite some time now, and also Wendy's involved in Agape too. She's a writer, works with the Huffington Post, and also really speaks about the youth and how we can really transform the consciousness through offering amazing tools for guiding children and assisting them to grow in a way that is beneficial for both the family as well as the world. So I'd love just to connect with you guys and let me know, how was your experience with the youth today? Because for me, growing up, I definitely didn't have a spiritual practice. And so it was like really trying to figure it out on my own. I had to go through lots of ups and downs. And so what would you guide parents with today in terms of getting children on a spiritual path or aligning them to their own divinity?
That's a great question.
So the first thing I would do is suggest to parents is that create a space where they can be free to express themselves. Create a space where you're listening more than anything, as opposed to rushing to fix or to take a snapshot of them in some particular point in their life, but to begin to see every day fresh and new with them and see the perfection, but to also listen and see what they're saying without any prejudgments. So I think just to create a loving environment that your listener is very important.
Yes, yes.
And you guys are actually working with around 1,200 children a week, correct?
Yes, a month.
A month? That is a lot of children.
Yes, it is.
How do you handle such a vast range of personalities and different individual ways of expressing themselves? Because children are going through so many changes within their body, within their hormones. How do you manage something like that without putting on a controlling, strict parent role?
Yes, yes. Well, I believe in allowing our youth to be who they are. So when my focus is primarily teenagers, and when they enter my room, there's no judgment. We don't care how they look, we don't care how they're dressed, we don't care if they're pierced, we don't care about any of those things.
Beautiful.
And so when they feel that acceptance, it creates an environment when they know that they can be who they really are, and that we don't look at them with any predisposition. You walk in and we know who you are. We know you're divine beyond what you look like.
Beautiful.
We know there's a spiritual self, and that is who we go to. We go to the spirit of who you are. And when they feel that acceptance, it's like, like a breath of fresh air.
Right.
And in that, there's an opening.
Okay, beautiful.
Yes.
And is that just through having a viewpoint that you are divine and holding that energy of really witnessing that in them that makes them feel relaxed? Or is there a special way that you may do a meditation that welcomes that into the presence?
Well, this is what we know. Youth know. They know if you love them, and they know if you don't. So when they walk in and they feel that vibration of who we are, and in my room there is discipline, but we call it blisscipline. So we allow them to be free. That's from Reverend Michael, our teacher. We allow them to be free, and also now know that there has to be boundaries, there has to be safety, but they feel the love. They come in, they get a hug, they get honored, they get to share who they are. They do a roundabout. How are you? Who are you? How was your week? Any challenges for the week? End on a positive, always ending on a positive, which was created by one of the teens years ago.
Really?
They said, you know what? We need you to ask us, how are we, before you give us our lesson plan. And we did it.
Beautiful.
We said yes, so yes.
Now, Wendy, have you found working with teens and youth and younger children, do you also find that there is that intelligence where they already know what they need and a way to bring that out in them?
Absolutely. I've been teaching parenting since 2004. and I work with the parents perinatal and then prenatal, perinatal, and then when the children are on the outside. And what I have found is what Reverend Leanna and what Reverend Arlene are speaking to is that when you acknowledge who they are, they come into the world. When my daughter was born, when she came out of me, I said to my husband, I know who this child is. There was no mistake. And and those of us that are, you know, awake and aware, we can catch that. When you see a child, we don't see the labels. We see who they are. Now they might be demonstrating something, but that's just a call for more love. And it's really the opportunity to look within yourself, because what you see in front of you is what is inside of you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And as a parent, there are so many challenges that are constantly throwing themselves at you. You know, you've got to get them to school, you've got to pack their lunch, and you've got a job, you've got to pay the bills. There's so much going on. Do you guys have a way that you can share with parents how to keep a balanced, integrated life with it all so that your children aren't getting your emotional baggage all the time?
Well, we constantly are implementing or facilitating workshops and seminars, and we recently started a parenting ministry that Wendy is one of our co-facilitators. And so it gives them support, so they feel that they're not alone. I think in today's society, it's important that they have some type of support mechanism or a village concept we want to bring back, because I don't care if you're a single parent or if you're a two-parent home, it's very difficult these days to raise children without that type of support. Support from the church, support from your school,
The
and
community.
support from the community is very important.
Yes, yes. And I would like to also add that, you know, sometimes parents look at their children a certain way. Something's wrong with my child, or you need to fix my child. And we look at it as your child's not broken. So when your child comes to us, we see them in their wholeness, and we recommend that the parent sees them in their wholeness beyond their behavior. Because your behavior is not a depiction of who you are.
Absolutely.
You're a spiritual being first. Your behavior is just an outpicturing of pain or sadness or fear.
Yes.
And you're either coming from fear or love. And so when you address them in such a loving way, then it opens them up to really be who they were created to be. And they get to, I've had at one time gang members in my room.
Okay.
And they would come back every Sunday.
Wow.
For weeks and weeks and weeks, because they were accepted. There was no judgment.
Okay.
You know,
Beautiful.
because I never looked at them, or we didn't facilitate them as, oh, we need to fix you, you're broken. It was like, no, you're a whole being. You're a whole being. And it's time for you to remember that for yourself. We'll remember it for you and we'll hold it for you until you remember it yourself.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And you were speaking earlier on to me about Reverend Michael's philosophy about the children of the now.
Yes.
Can you
Well,
speak into
Reverend
that?
Michael says children are our now. So society says children are our future. But what we do with our children now determines the future. And so I have taken that on personally as my belief. Children are our now. How do we treat our children right now? You know, do you walk down the street and acknowledge young people, or do you just walk by, or do you just poo-poo them? You know, do you walk through our spiritual community? Do you say hello to a child? Because how we treat them now will affect them.
Absolutely.
And I want to say, for me, I remember as a young girl, someone walking up and saying something kind to me, a perfect stranger. And that I've carried my whole life.
Wow.
That one moment made a difference in my life.
Would you like to share what that moment was?
Well, it was a very interesting moment. We were in Woolworths. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone knows what Woolworths is, but
I do.
it's an
Yeah.
old store similar to Walgreens or CVS or these American stores. And a woman stopped in the middle of the store and looked at me and she said, "Oh, your eyes are so beautiful." And this is what I did. Like, I looked around to see who she was talking to, and she was speaking to me, and it touched my heart. An adult just acknowledging me in a moment.
Beautiful.
And I've carried that.
Fantastic. It's
I've carried
amazing
that.
how little incidences like that, you never know how far they'll carry.
Yes.
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 That's amazing.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why our now is so important is who they are, their thoughts. who they are as beings matters in the world. So we were raised, and you know, I was raised in a culture that says you have to wait till you get 18 to make a difference. You have to wait till you're 25 or 30. But we want to let the children know who you are matters, your thoughts, your voice.
Yes.
And what you are here to do matters now, regardless of age.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yes.
they are now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Wendy, how do you feel about bringing children up from a very young age and inspiring them to really be in alignment with their divine purpose, for example? What types of tools would you recommend to really align children in that direction?
Well, it begins with the parents. I believe it's important to study brain chemistry and brain science. If you look at the brain, there's the triune brain. It's the size of a walnut, and it is when children are born, it's the last organ that's developed. It's not even fully developed. Parents are the architects of their children's brains. How they treat them is, and a lot of that is attachment parenting, but how they speak to them, how they are with them, it forms a child's brain.
Wow.
And so the impact of parents doing their own inner work,
Okay.
when Reverend Leon was talking about listening, the other part of it is modeling. You know, I teach a lot compassionate parenting. Emotional intelligence is really important. I believe that if there were classes available to all parents and educators, it should be in the educational system. They should teach emotional and social intelligence. They should teach brain chemistry and brain science so that they recognize the words, the connection, the look. When you look at a child, like Reverend Arlene was talking about, when somebody comes into her space and maybe they've got tats and pierces and all that going on, and she just is like, hey, they know they're okay.
Yes.
And they can settle. So I first talk to the parents about their own childhood because it's really, it's a dual, you know, I tell my daughter all the time, I say, I'm so grateful I get to grow with you because that's the opportunity when we're with our child, whether a child comes to you or through you. Once they're in your space, your experience of the whole world is completely different.
Yes.
That's why
Absolutely.
Gandhi said, if there is to be peace in the world, we must first start with the children.
Yes.
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 And I remember when you talked about the Maasai tribe, and they greet each other and they say, how are the children?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And-
that's powerful.
And what that informs is how are we? How are we? Are we doing our inner work? Because you can say to a children, pick up whatever you say. So you can sit there and say, I'm fine, everything's fine, nothing's wrong, I'm good, I'm really good.
Right.
And their
can
their
feel it.
world,
Yeah.
their world is just contingent upon you letting them know that they're safe, that they're safe to be, they're safe to speak, they're safe to be angry, they're safe to have their feelings, and you're not going to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be there and go, you know, this may be tough. We'll get through it together.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Together is the word.
Yes.
And that's how we engender a society that is just, that does work. That's how we have peace on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, you know, that what we have right now is the dominant paradigm, the top down, the do as I say. And so here, you know, at Agape, we're so fortunate because not only have we walked into this, you know, this vibration, this frequency of love, this
Yes.
vortex.
Divine
You walk
love.
in there and you're
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
and so we provide that for ourselves so we can soften. So the armoring that we have softens and falls away. And then we see these children. And yes, there's parameters, there's boundaries,
Yes.
but they don't
Yes,
have
yes.
to do anything. They don't have to prove themselves to be loved. They don't have to just do anything but be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yes.
talking about boundaries,
Yes.
I was feeling you over there
Yes.
wanting to share something. What are the right boundaries? Because it can be a gray area,
Yes,
and I'd
yes.
love to hear what you guys think about boundaries.
Well, I feel it's important because although we are spiritual beings, we have a human experience that we're having. And you can teach your child freedom and to be free, yet when they go to school, they can't just get up, walk away from their desk and go outside and be free. You know,
Right.
they have to stay in the classroom. They
Yes.
have to. So to be able to honor the environment that they're in and still allow themselves to express who they are. They get to say what they're feeling. They get to talk about what's on their mind.
Okay.
Yes? And to be able to do it from a place, I tell them to ask this question: how can I say this from a place of love?
Oh, beautiful.
How can I say this from a place of
lovely.
love is a question that allows you the opportunity to express what you're expressing, but it doesn't have to be volatile. That's the boundary. Or when you speak to me, I will only accept you speaking to me in a way that honors not only
Great.
myself, but honors you. Those are the boundaries. And I have to say, I'm the spiritual director of a women's treatment center called
Okay.
Safe Harbor.
Oh, wow.
And what I have found is I'm with adults or young women 18 and older who they have to relearn everything. They have to learn how to set boundaries, yet be
Yes.
spiritual in the world and
Okay.
give their love and give, and but they're starting off at an older age. They get to hear it from Reverend Leon and from Wendy at the younger age, and then I get them at the teenage,
Ooh, wow.
and I get to support them that way.
Yeah, do you guys have any success stories that you'd like to share of people coming through and really having transformations through the work that you're offering?
Absolutely, yes.
We have numerous success stories.
Yeah.
And most of them come back, and that's what I like about it. They come back and ask for advice. For instance, I have one young man. He ran away from home, and he called me and he asked me for advice. What do you think I should do? And I thought that was the cutest thing. And he says, I'm here at the church now, singing in the
He
sanctuary.
ran away to church.
And he says,
Is that
he says,
amazing?
what do you
That is
think I should do? And I thought it was the most beautiful thing. But they feel at home. They trust us. And they're willing to just open up, and I attribute that to our listening. And when you think about discipline, I think it starts with our planning. I think when it starts with setting the table, that lets them know what are we doing today, what's on the agenda, and how we can interact and play together, and what we can do to co-create. And I think when we set that table, a loving table, many times children are viewed as an afterthought. And so they just throw a couple of things together, teachers throw a couple of things together, and that's it. But if you take the time to create a visual stimulating setting, a kinesthetic setting, an auditory setting, it's playing with music, it's playing with that teaches the whole brain.
Use all of it.
I think
Yes.
that love will go a long way in helping to set the table and also provide boundaries.
Yes,
And
yes.
how do you assist a child if they come to you and they're having issues at home, perhaps their family or their parents don't have a spiritual practice and they may be really unbalanced? What do you do with a child, or how do you direct them?
Well, what I always tell our young people, because I get teenagers whose parents are not a part of the spiritual community that we're in.
Yeah.
They hop on a bus and they come to the spiritual community, And so what I say to them is, sometimes you have to be the teacher. And you have to be the example for your parents.
I see. Beautiful.
And maybe your parents didn't have these teachings. See, I say this, the universe doesn't say, because you're a teenager, you don't have to do anything. Or what you do is void. The universe just says yes. And so if you want a more sound relationship at home or more love, then you have to be the one to portray it. You have to be the one to give it.
Beautiful.
And you may not get it from your household. Your parents may never change. Yet you will create your own village, your own community. You will draw to you people who will support you, mother figures, father figures, grandparent figures. And you will create what you want through being what you want.
Beautiful.
And so you don't have to go home and change your parents. Your parents may never change. They may stay the same forever. It doesn't mean you can't love them, but what it does mean is you can be the love. You can be the listener. You feel they don't listen, then you need to listen. You feel they don't give you enough love, then you need to give more love.
Beautiful.
And in time, your vibration will draw to you the people who will support you in what it is you're asking for.
Wow. That is powerful. That really is. And I
Yes.
can see how, speaking about the qualities of law of attraction and really holding the vibration which you choose to have in your life can really benefit. And you actually have a child yourself at the moment. Yeah,
Yes.
how old
I do.
is-
She'll be 12 next month.
Oh, and how was that bringing up a child through the conscious parenting routine and learning through the highs and lows? Or were you as equipped and as well knowledgeable in this area prior to her coming along?
No.
Okay.
It was very organic for me. when I had my daughter, I was an older mom, and I had always thought of myself as a child advocate because I always was around children and I always had a different viewpoint. And then from the minute that I got pregnant, when I saw those 2 lines on that little stick, my whole world changed.
Wow.
Really, my whole entire, and I think that part of the conversation that we want to have in the world is about mothers, is about that whole, that mother, father, when you become, like I said, whether a child comes to you or through you, when a child is in your space, your view of the world completely changes. And what you want, everybody talks about, we want to leave the world better than when we leave it. Why? For the children. And so for me, the whole path of having my daughter at home, I tried to birth her in a tub. We had a tub. Yeah, it was great. I labored in my living room.
How long were you in labor for?
32 hours.
Wow.
At least you're in the comfort
I worked
of your
really,
home.
I know, exactly. And then she was born, and then I was in my bed nursing her. And so, and I really believe in attachment parenting, and when parents adopt children, they can still do
What is
the
attachment
So
parenting?
attachment parenting is something that I didn't know about until after I was already doing it.
Okay.
So what that is either carrying your child, swaddling, but not too tight because it's really not that comfortable for them, but it's called slinging. So you sling the child, so it's like chest to chest, they can feel your
Beautiful.
heartbeat.
Great.
It can be, you can co-sleep, it's not safe, there's nothing unkosher about,
Really?
yes, sleeping with the child, nursing the child if you would like, that's really a great way to do it. And then also, the attachment parenting is the responding to the child, to their needs, because if you respond to a child's needs, they don't cry a lot. The children that haven't been responded to cry because they don't get to know that their needs matter, because nobody's
Wow.
responding to them. And those early years from birth through 18 months, you're setting the child up for their life experience.
Yes.
And so I feel really moved by being a mom, and having a daughter. She just really birthed the way that I am with people, the way that I am with children. I believe in her. Her brilliance is amazing. It's what spawned the Million Mamas movement. I mean, she is my inspiration. So I don't find it difficult. I think it's natural. She's a really bright child, like many of our children. They're coming to the world loaded and
Yes,
coded.
they
with,
know it all
they're
already.
cable
Got it.
ready.
Yes.
They're brilliant.
souls.
Old souls.
Beautiful.
So,
Yes.
Well, what I'd like to do, we're running up to the end of the show. I'd love to just give everyone a moment just to let us know what is your gem of wisdom that you've found through working with the youth that could really assist the world.
Well, I recognize that the children now are coming with a special intention as opposed to special needs children. They're coming with a special intention, and that is to wake us up. The news recently, last Friday, the children that were murdered, I can see clearly that they had a special attention. And it's our job to continue to make this earth safer for them, to provide a space where they could begin to show us and lead the way, because many of us have forgotten. And so I think it's come upon us to build such a loving container that they're free to bring these special gifts on the planet and allow them to lead now. Allow them to lead.
Beautiful.
Yes.
How about you, Eileen?
You know, I did a sermon not too long ago called What's Your Normality? And what I feel is important is that they understand that their normal is okay, that they don't have to fit into the world's normal. And I actually show them that the world's normal isn't necessarily okay.
Right.
And that right where they are, whatever little quirks they have, that's their gift.
Beautiful.
One of the things I say is, you're sensitive, that means you have a big heart.
Good.
There's nothing wrong with being sensitive.
Thank you.
And you talk a lot, oh, that just means you love people and you like to share.
Yeah.
And so I re-qualify what the world says is wrong with them. I have a saying, what the world says is wrong with you is normally what's right with you.
Love that. That's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
How about you, Wendy?
What I would say is to honor the children and honor yourself, to make sure that you are open and available to your good, so you can prepare the way for the children. And you know, I had an experience last week where we hosted these 2 young children from an East African choir called Asante, and I fell in love with these young girls. I really did. It was so hard for me to say goodbye. I wept. While the shootings were happening in Newtown, I was weeping on the phone with a friend because at the thought of not seeing them again. And this one little girl, when I said goodbye to her, I just looked in her eyes and I just said, I just want you to know that you are love,
Yes.
you are fabulous, and do not ever forget that there is
Wonderful.
no thing and no person that can keep your good from you.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go, guys.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us
Thank
today.
you
What a
so
beautiful
much.
Thank you.
discussion.
Thank you.
It was
And
so wonderful being here. Thank you.
oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And amazing guidance as well. I feel just all of us coming together really brings the message of honoring your children and reminding them that they are perfect, whole, and complete. Just as they are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's
So we'll
it.
take that
Perfect,
away
whole,
with
and
children
complete.
of the new earth. You are perfect, whole, and complete.
And so it is.
Yeah.
Ashe.
Ashe.